the launch that marks a return. For the first time in over half a century, humanity is going back, not just into space, not just into orbit, but beyond, because what you're witnessing right now is not just a rocket launch, it's a turning point, a moment that signals something much bigger than a single mission. As the engines ignite and the rocket lifts off the ground, it's easy to focus on the spectacle. The fire, the power, the sheer scale of the machine breaking free from Earth's gravity. But behind that moment, there is a deeper story. Because Artemis II is not just about reaching the moon, it's about returning with a purpose. The last time humans traveled this far into space was during the Apollo era, a time defined by competition, urgency, and a clear objective. Get there first, and once that goal was achieved, everything slowed down. The moon became history, deep space became distant again, but today that silence is ending. Because this launch is not about repeating the past, it's about restarting something that was left unfinished. A new phase of human exploration, a new direction, a new ambition. Because the world has changed, technology has evolved, geopolitics has shifted, and space is no longer just a symbol of exploration. It's becoming a domain of strategy, and that's what makes this launch so important. At first glance, Artemis II may look like a test mission, a crude flight around the moon, preparing for future landings. But that description doesn't capture the full picture. Because this is not just a test. It's a signal that humanity is ready to move forward again, that the next chapter of space exploration has already begun, and that this time, it won't stop. Because the goal is no longer just to reach the moon, it's to stay, to build, to operate, to create a presence that extends beyond Earth. And once that process begins, everything changes. Because space stops being a destination and becomes an environment where missions are not rare, but routine, where exploration turns into infrastructure, and where presence turns into influence. This is the real meaning behind this launch, not just the rocket, not just the mission, but what it represents. A shift from moments to systems, from history to future. And as the rocket disappears into the sky, leaving behind a trail of fire and smoke, it marks more than a successful launch. It marks the beginning of something that could redefine humanity's place beyond Earth. Because in the chapters ahead, we're going to break this down step by step. What Artemis II really is, why it matters now, and what this mission could change in the years to come. Because this isn't just a historic launch. It's the return that changes everything. Why this return matters now. To understand why this launch is so important, you have to ask a simple question. Why now? Why return to the moon after more than 50 years? Because this isn't just about finishing something that was started in the past. It's about responding to the present and preparing for the future. A different world than before. When humans first went to the moon, the world was very different. It was defined by one central rivalry, two superpowers, one objective, one race. The goal was clear: demonstrate technological superiority. And once that goal was achieved, the urgency disappeared. But today the world is no longer shaped by a single competition. It's more complex, more connected, and more competitive. Because space is no longer controlled by just a few actors. Now, multiple nations and even private companies are involved, each with their own ambitions, each with their own strategy. The return is not optional. This is what changes everything. Going back to the moon is no longer just a choice. It's becoming a necessity because space is evolving. It's moving from exploration to utilization, from symbolic missions to strategic operations. And in that environment, staying absent is not neutral. It's a disadvantage because the countries that move forward will shape what comes next. The Moon as a strategic position. At first glance, the Moon may seem like a distant and isolated place, but in reality, it is one of the most important strategic locations in space. Why? Because it acts as a gateway, a point between Earth and deeper space, a location where future missions can be launched more efficiently, a place where infrastructure can be built, and, potentially, a place where resources can be accessed. And once infrastructure exists there, the entire dynamic changes, because operations no longer start from Earth, they expand outward. Timing is everything. There's another reason why this return is happening now. Timing. Because the global environment is shifting. Technological competition is increasing. Geopolitical tensions are rising. Strategic positioning is becoming more important than ever. And in that context, delaying means falling behind. This is why Artemis II is not just a mission, it's a response to a changing world, a response to new opportunities, and a response to growing competition. A new kind of race. But this time the race is different. It's not about being first, it's about being present, consistently, sustainably, because the goal is not a single moment of victory, it's long-term influence, and influence is built over time, through infrastructure, through systems, through presence. This is why this return matters so much, not because it repeats history, but because it begins something new, a new phase where space is no longer just explored, but developed, where missions are not isolated, but connected, and where the decisions made today will shape what space becomes tomorrow. And in the next chapter, we'll go deeper into what makes this mission fundamentally different from anything we've seen before. Because this time, it's not just about going back, it's about staying. This time, it's built to last. At first glance, Artemis II may look familiar. A rocket launches, astronauts travel beyond Earth. The Moon becomes the destination once again. It feels like history repeating itself. But that perception is misleading, because this mission is not just a continuation of the past, it's a complete shift in approach. From one-time achievement to long-term system. The Apollo missions were designed with a clear objective: reach the Moon, prove it can be done, win the race. And once that objective was achieved, the system had no reason to continue. It was never built for permanence. Artemis is different. It's not designed for a single success. It's designed for continuity. A system that supports multiple missions, a structure that expands over time, a framework that turns exploration into operation, and Artemis II is one of the first real steps in proving that system works. Technology built for the future. Everything about this mission reflects that long-term vision. The rocket, the spacecraft, the architecture behind it, all designed not just to reach the Moon, but to return again and again. The Space Launch System is built for heavy payloads and repeat missions. The Orion spacecraft is designed for deep space travel, capable of carrying humans farther and longer than systems used in recent decades. But beyond capability, there is reliability, because long-term presence requires consistency, not just success once, but success repeatedly. A network, not a mission. What truly sets Artemis apart is that it's not isolated, it's connected. Unlike Apollo, which was driven by a single nation, Artemis is built as a network, multiple countries, multiple partners, shared objectives. This creates something more powerful than a mission. It creates a system others can join, and once they join, they become part of its structure. This is how influence expands, not by acting alone, but by building frameworks others depend on. The beginning of infrastructure. Then there's the most important element: infrastructure. Because this mission is not just about travel, it's about what comes next. Future plans include a permanent station in lunar orbit, a gateway that connects missions, a platform that enables long-term presence, and once infrastructure exists in space, Everything changes because space is no longer a destination, it becomes a place of operation. The real difference. This is the key shift. Apollo proved humanity could reach the moon. Artemis is proving humanity can stay connected to it, sustainably, strategically, continuously, and that difference is what changes everything. Because once a system is in place, once missions become routine, once presence becomes normal, the entire meaning of space exploration evolves. It stops being about going and starts being about operating. And that's exactly what Artemis Ascent represents, not the peak of achievement, but the beginning of capability, a moment where design turns into reality and where ambition becomes structure. In the next chapter, we move beyond technology, because what makes this mission truly important is not just how it works, but what it means for power, for strategy, and for the future of space itself.